Welcome back to the Real with Joseph Latman. I am Joseph Latman. Happy Wednesday to you guys. Hope you guys are having a good week. Happy Hump Day. Welcome back to the Real. If you're new here, number one, hit the like button for me to win. Everybody hit the like button for me. It helps me fight the algorithms and promote this content more. I would really appreciate that. And also, if you're new here, hit the subscribe button for me. We more content like I'll be talking about today with anxiety, sports, and many other things that we talk about on this channel. So hit the subscribe button for me. And welcome back to the real. Hope you guys are having a good day. It's stormy and rainy where I am today, so that's been that way for most of the day. A lot of rain, thunder, and lightning. So yeah, but sometimes it's kind of peaceful just to sit and listen to it. Sit in silence, just kind of listen to the rain and the thunder and the lightning, and maybe have a little music on, just relax, kind of clears your mind. I like to do that a lot. But sometimes I get a lot of my just clarity thoughts is doing that. And so and also I just got done watching a clip. I'm gonna watch more of it of Hulk Hogan was on Joe Rogan's podcast, and thought that was pretty cool. Everybody knows if you've followed my some of my past episodes, I talked about when I was a kid. I spent a lot of time in the Tampa area, Clearwater, Florida, Clearwater Beach rather, and it's like Hulk Hogan's capital. So a lot of been to the Hulk shop, been to all the shops, been to Hulk's restaurant. I've seen Hulk as a kid, so it's pretty cool to see that. And a lot of weird things. I didn't. There's a lot of things I didn't know about myself. About there's a period I basically lived in Tampa for a period. I would come back to Ohio for school and stuff, but a lot of times my mom and I would go down to Clearwater where my aunt was, and both my aunts at the time, and three aunts I had at the time down there, and some other family as well. But I didn't know this either. My aunt, speaking of Hulk Hogan and my aunt, Hulk used to come in and pay his cable bill at my aunt's Spectrum. Well, now it's Spectrum. It used to be called Bright House, which now is now Spectrum. It used to be Time Warner as well. And she worked there for years, and he used to come in and pay his cable bill and all that stuff. It was kind of cool. Big Hulk would come in in his tank top and pay his cable bill, and that was pretty cool. But my aunt also, I didn't know this. I didn't find this out till the last like couple years that the rapper Rod Wave, who's from Tampa, who's one of the most famous rappers now, an artist. His mother worked with my aunt. They were right next to work desk mates for many years, and that I guess him and I, as kids, we hung out when we were kids at times. Just when I was down there, um, a lot of times at like uh, Threshers, the Clearwater Threshers, which is like the Double A team down there for the Phillies, and we would hang out. It was used to be called Bright House Field, and we used to go to games there all the time because my aunt would get in. We would go for free because she worked for the company, and so I guess a lot of times him and I were around each other as kids, and we were hung out a couple times around, just being around each other, and so that was pretty interesting. A fun fact about myself, maybe you didn't know, but I didn't know until about a year and a half ago, and then she ended up running into his mom again recently at like a party a couple months ago. So that was pretty cool. But that was been my day watching Hulk Hogan. So and reminisce about some memories from every time I see it, just brings back a lot of memories and many memories from that time and um, in my life in general. So um, and a lot of those things I've been working through, going more to a serious topic now about anxiety, what the show's about today. Um, there's been a lot of things in my life recently where, especially in the last 3 months, um, since probably the end of June when I finished the inner circle program with the anxiety guy. Been a lot of things I've really thought about, and a lot of things I've had time to reflect on, and more than ever now, really reframing a lot of those past memories, those past traumas from when I was a kid, and just um, kind of grouping everything together. Or not grouping, but kind of more decompartmentalizing a lot of things, and just kind of examining a lot of things, connecting dots on a lot of things, which the program helped me with, and also seeking counsel as well. Um, just a lot of those things, and I think when you look at a lot of whatever your past traumas are, things that maybe you as a kid you thought were um, put on you, or maybe things you felt were taken away from you. You got older. Like everybody knows my story. Most people watching this when I was in high school, and I was taken out of high school immediately after a year because of what was going on. I just couldn't go to school, and I never went back. And so, but for a long time, that hurt. That hurt, and even up until this year, really going full speed, like really diving deep into that pain and really trying to let go of it and heal it. Because healing takes time, but that pain was there for a while. It stunned for a while. It hurt because uh, you had so many expectations and plans and hope your whole life leading up to that point. You had and then so many goals and dreams. And then the year I was there, um, there was a lot of new things I was really interested in, and so and then all of a sudden it's just gone like that, and everything just kind of slowly fades away. And you can never go back, obviously, because that's the past, and you go older, and that's it. You only get one shot in those years, and so having that stuff kind of taken away for a while hurt. Hurt for a while. I'm not gonna lie. It really stung, and I didn't really realize till this past year how much that really was still inside of me hurting, and how that really caused a lot of my pain, and how that was really what was prolonging most of my anxiety and my agoraphobia and my panic was that feeling, because that feeling uh, was deep. I mean, it was deep. It was the root cause. And, I think for a lot of times we try to hide from that feeling. We try to run from that feeling. That was me for many years. I tried to act like, everything was okay. The hell with what happened, and it is what it is, and just try to cover up and keep moving forward, and, go through the typical cycle. They will, when you first get diagnosed with anxiety, they put you through, and all that stuff, blah blah blah. No, but as time went on, the covering up was starting to wear off. The running, the trying to act like nothing, forget about it, started to wear off, and that pain started to catch back up to me. I didn't really realize it either until looking. Well, 2 years ago when I hit rock bottom again, um, that summer of 21, which I talked about on the show in my earlier episodes. And just kind of how that whole summer I just felt very isolated, very um, isolated, but just down, just kind of, and just depressed, and just didn't know. I was kind of just going with the flow every day, but I was going off of. I was running every day. Every day I was just running off of the anger and that emotion, that pain was running my life still, and it was making me do things I didn't want to do, like making me. I felt like I had to do things. I felt like I had to feel a certain way to feel accomplished. I felt like I had to like try to create and like force my own path, and um and yeah, just very controlling, very upon myself. It just that put a lot of pressure on me, but also just the loneliness feeling. Just and I think what it just all those years, that at that point it was it 6 years post all that, up to 2021. And I think it all just finally caught up with me. It just finally all caught up with me to where I just couldn't run from it anymore. The pain was too much. That it was to the point where it's okay. I have to do something about this now if I really want to help myself. And not only that, I had already started the idea of doing my own podcast, and trying a lot of, and or not trying, but rather pursuing a lot of the things I wanted to do in my life that I really desired deep down inside, and making efforts. But I had to hit that rock bottom first. I think that's how God got my attention. That's how God had to stop me on my tracks and wake me back up, and point me in the right direction I needed to go, where He wanted me to go. And with that, though, He's led me closer and closer and closer along the way to to the things I truly desire. And He's fulfilled a lot of those desires. This podcast has turned out just the way I'm able to do it, and just the like all the the programming, the stuff I can use, like to make the how I want it to look. Everything just turned out exactly better than I wanted it to be. I didn't think it would be this easy to make a podcast, because it really is. And so, yeah, He made it so much easier for me. And not only that, just all the pain I went through all those years led me up until that moment last year when I finally um, got on the microphone that day, and finally said to the world where I've been, to the people I've talked to in years, and finally just told the truth to what God was calling me and leading me to do. And I still see that now, and that's what helps me with the healing is the internal wins, right? Wins. And a lot of times you're just after you have so many wins, internal wins, you a lot of times you could be just one win away. And that's the title of today's show. Just says just one win away. And I look at my life right now, and I feel like all I've done in the last year and a half was the most. Well, let me think. Last year and a half. Well, I'm thinking when I started the podcast. Excuse me. Since August, late August, or September of 2021, when I started seeking counsel again and getting the help I needed. So almost 2 years now, as the when I started to truly heal and truly start to help myself. And I think this last year in particular has really, and this year alone, 2023, is the most I've ever grown in my life. It's the most I've ever grown spiritually. It's the most I've ever grown mentally, physically, and emotionally. And I could truly say I'm at a point now where I've turned the chapter on on that part of my life, and it's about just creating who I want to be now, and letting God create who He wants you to be, and pursuing the things I dream of, my dreams and my desires, and then to finally let myself go and be free, and letting God lead the way, and fully surrendering to Him, and that's what I've done, and I've started to do more and more, and but sometimes you feel like you're just one win away. Right, and there's a lot of those pains I talked about when I was mentioning earlier from my childhood and things I've mentioned. I know there's some things in my life that haven't happened yet that, um, when they happen, will change me. And there's probably things I don't even know about yet that God has planned that He'll bring into my life that will change me. And my whole point is sometimes God can use just one thing. He can allow one thing in your life that will just spark anything for you. It could be a relationship, it could be a job, it could be um a realization, emotional shifts. You know what I mean? Just somebody calls you, just something that we don't really think of, or we don't give too much respect, or we don't think will. Maybe the world's thinking has crowded that how we view something, a certain thing, but that certain thing could be what and actually sets you free, and that could be that one win, that one monumental win that sets you free. And I've been close to some things this past year, where I finally allowed myself to explore avenues this last year with things and pursue things and desires, and that some things I never thought I'd have the chance to do. Number one, but number two, with along with that though, it's I started to find more out about myself along the way in the past year when I've done a lot of new things, allowed myself to be vulnerable, but also each time God's leveled me up from it, and even if things didn't go um, how I wanted to yet, uh, God still is showing me and growing my faith through it. And God is still has leveled me up through it all. And He's led me to um, so many internal shifts and led to wins, internal wins that it's made me like in terms of there's somebody with agoraphobia, um, or depression or anxiety, health anxiety. A lot of times we think of that one win as we have to have multiple wins. We have to force ourselves out of the house. If you have agoraphobia, like it's trying to reach trying to make it a certain mile from your house or miles rather, or destination, or not worrying about your health or not. We always think of it as the direct thing, what the label is we're trying to overcome. But I think a lot of times what can actually truly heal that label or whatever you're dealing with is actually just something that's deep down inside that's connected to something else. Like something from that, like I said, I know my traumas from when I was a kid, and the things that were prolonging my anxiety was that pain when I was 15, right? The things I desired. And what the pain really was desires weren't met when I was 15. Desires weren't met. Um, things, situations, or things that I thought about when I was a kid, even younger, back at 6 years old, way I perceived certain things, right? And so, um, that, but that's a true deep root cause that's sparking the health anxiety. I know where the health anxiety for me came from, but the health anxiety is not really the problem for me. And it wasn't. It never really was the true problem. It was just a reaction to a deeper rooted issue, if that makes sense. And so And a lot of what my deep rooted issues were, like I said, were desires that weren't met. And so once became aware of this, and I number one, I surrendered more to God, and I surrendered it all to God, and I just went more into a spiritual approach this past year, and understood God's promises, God's timings, God's grace, God's will for our life. It made me find more peace within those desires and were met, because that's what was fueling my anxiety, and that's what was causing me to stay stuck in a certain place. Because it's like people would always say, "Well, you know everything about health anxiety. You know everything about this. Why are you still not? Why do you think you're still, on the fence about some things, about letting yourself be free? Why do you still seem like you're struggling a whole lot?" And a lot of it was because of that. It was that deep rooted pain that I just didn't really address. And a lot of times, some of those deep rooted pains we're afraid to speak up. We're embarrassed to say certain things. Because I think our society will tell us to just suck it up, and everybody deals with it. Forget about it and just cover it up, keep pushing forward, right? Just try to wing it, try to hide it, try to be a fake version of you is basically what they're telling you. But I didn't accept that. I knew God had a different plan for me, and God had a different will for my life, and that's not how God designed us to be. He doesn't want us to live like that. He doesn't want us to carry around burdens and pain and just baggage. That's why he sent his son to the cross to die for our sins, so we didn't have to pay the penalty, even though we deserve it. I deserve to die on that cross and be spit on and speared and nailed to the cross and be mocked and put a thorn in my head for the sins I've committed. But that's why he sent his son to die for our sins. And so, because he loves us that much, he doesn't want us to carry that burden. He doesn't want us to suffer. He wants us. He's waiting for you right now. If you've been away from God, if you maybe messed up recently, he's waiting for you to come to him right now. The door's always open. And so, but the same thing with anxiety and anything in life. That's how God is. That's how everything is. In my opinion, and you could be just one win away. You could be just one internal shift away, or something could just one win. You know what I mean? Just like for me, there's a lot of things I've been praying heavy about in my life for the past year, especially within this year alone, and a lot of things I had to work through. With a lot of those new things I did last year, it taught me a lot of. I learned a lot about myself, and I'm gonna be honest. A lot of those new things, I was really nervous doing them because it was the first time for me with a lot of things, and you know, just kind of getting back in reality. I was out of normal groove for long. My life for years was just anxiety every day. You know what I mean? I wasn't doing the normal things, and my life was terrible. I was still out having fun and on my bike and at peace, and enjoying life in different ways. But I wasn't doing what my life was different from a lot of people my age, and so um, but with all those new things, I look back like I didn't really finally slow down and really realize how I was still acting in certain ways until I found that shift in the program at about mid to end of April. And that's when I realized the safety mechanism, the safety root cause for me was a big thing, safety. And that how, with that, I was still trying to control a lot of things, still trying to find the answers for a lot of things, and worrying about a lot of things I didn't know the answers to, right? And still stressing about things I can't control and trying to just sit and dwell. You just sit and dwell on it's almost like sitting and dwelling on the unknown. The unknown is what bothered me still. And not and a lot of it too was I was trying to avoid the pain I felt when I was 15 years old again. Right. And that's when I finally found that shift, that win within, everything changed for me. And since then, since the end of April, things changed in my life dramatically. And it's continuing to improve and change more and more each month and each day, really. And so but that was a big win for me. And there's different things, the desires I still have, when they happen, God will level me up even more, because it'll be His time and His will, and it'll be at the best, at its peak, and I'm prepared for it more now than I was. There's a lot of things I'm more prepared in my life now than I was uh, last year in 2022. I can tell you that. So hell, I'm more prepared for things in my life than I was 5 months ago. It's when I found that shift in the end of April, right around week 7, 8 of the program, the inner circle program. That's when things started to change. I started to see things for what they really are. and it also, excuse me, helped me to just um just let go more and just surrender and just allow and accept and just realize, like the verse says, all things work together for good. Romans 8:28. All things work together for good. And you truly have to believe that. And so, but it was an emotional win, and I was one win away. And I got reminded of this topic because I came across this video from man Dennis, the anxiety guy. This video came out like 3 years ago. I remember when this came out too. I remember watching this. This is right before. This is in 2020. It was June of 2020. This came out. And in this video, he talks about mindset and shifts, but he talks about being one win away. And so I want to play this video today. It's only 8 minutes. It's a quick video, but it's very powerful, a lot of information, and a really inspiring video as well. And so I may stop it a couple times to commentate. I need a drink of water. My throat, my mouth's getting dry from. You get cotton mouth real fast talking on this mic sometimes, but no. But I'm gonna play this video, and he talks a lot about what I was kind of referencing to today about being one win away, about emotional shifts, about um, how one thing can just change everything for you and just spark a whole new um, life for you, really, a whole new chapter in your life that you've been waiting for. And so I'm gonna play this video real quick. My man Mike Antonace is also calling me right now. So I need to take this phone call real quick as well, to make sure my dude's doing good. But yeah, I'm gonna play this video quick. I'm gonna stop it a couple times, maybe to commentate, but if not, enjoy the video and really pay attention here to great things he says.
Warrior, welcome. My friend, I'm not going to waste any time today. I'm going to get straight to the point of this video because it's something that you need to hear. When I heard this message, I questioned it first off because the amount of suffering that I was going through, the intensity of that suffering, the length of that suffering, really made me feel like the message itself made no sense. But I want to explain to you why it makes sense. The message is this: you are one great, emotionally intense experience away from starting the snowball of inner peace. Why do I say that? I say that because I've been where you are. And I remember looking to think positively every single day. That didn't work. I remember trying to expose myself directly to those things that I feared and becoming re traumatized and scared of taking on this journey. That didn't work. I remember reaching out to people and talking about my anxiety, talking and talking and talking because people told me that the more I talk about it, the better I'm going to feel. That didn't work. I remember one lady coming to me a few weeks ago, and this is a good example that connects to today's message. She came to me with tremendous emotional distress and anxiety. I told her to close her eyes. I told her to imagine what the anxiety looked like. She said, a monster about 10 times the size of me. I told her to grab both of her hands and shrink that monster to the size of a postage stamp. And then I asked her to imagine that when she opened her hands, a butterfly came out. Then I gave her time to process what she just did. And I asked her the same questions I did before the exercise. I asked her, when you think about your bodily symptoms, what do you think? And she said, well, I think of them now more so as signals, signs, messages. Interesting. When you think of your intrusive thoughts, the ones that are leading you in a direction of emotional distress, what do you think about them? And she said, I see them as protection. Whereas prior to the exercise, she would see all these things as threats and she would internalize them and she would feel more and more guilty about experiencing them. So,
I just wanted to stop real quick on that point because that kind of goes back to what I was saying about myself. He says the lady there was doing the exercise with how she realized they were signals of trying to protect her, what she was feeling. It's like I was saying when I was trying to figure out why I was still experiencing anxiety like I was, what was holding me back. It was that pain I was holding on to, that pain in my body, my subconscious mind didn't want me to feel that, experience that ever again. And a lot of times for people when they go through a traumatic experience, when they go through something that's hard on them, a heartbreak or a letdown or whatever, something that emotionally affected you, right? Our minds, our subconscious mind, the anxiety, the fear is avoidance. That's what agoraphobia is too. It's avoidance. We're trying to avoid that feeling. We don't want to feel that feeling ever again. We don't want to experience that ever again. And a lot of times we can actually that can control us to where we avoid from doing anything. It's like if with relationally, if you got let down by someone or people or a group of people, um, speaking of Mikey Antonis, he just called me. He's doing good, by the way. But um, remember Mike told on this show. Remember that we talked about when he went to church when he was a kid. The church he went to when he was a kid, rather, and he felt a certain way about people treat him at that church. And for a long time, he was angry at churches. He didn't, and he just was kind of anti religion. But then he realized that one group wasn't everybody. It's like if somebody does something to you, and let's say if somebody in Akron or somebody in New York pisses you off or makes you mad, does that mean everybody in New York is bad? No, it's just that one person. But it's the same thing. What I'm referencing at is a lot of times with that fear, that protection, that safety, we try to play everything safe. It will act as a defense mechanism, and we group everything together. So anything that comes along that's in that same ballpark, if you want to say, or that same atmosphere of that fear, we avoid it. So like if somebody broke up with you or you had a bad relationship end, a lot of people try to avoid ever having a relationship again because they don't want to experience that pain. And that's hard to deal with. And that's tough for a lot of people. And maybe it could be not just like a boyfriend girlfriend or anything or husband wife, a divorce or something, but it could be also a parent or a friend or you just start to lose trust of people because your trust was broken. And a lot of times, it could be done by a mistake maybe you made, you're angry yourself, or it could be done just somebody really did you wrong, or things just didn't go the way you thought they would, which is part of life. But I think that's where you have to number one find what helped me was finding God's purpose, right? What's God's meaning and purpose for all this? And I had one of those realizations this week. Seeing my sister start high school this week and seeing how it reminded me when my seeing her first week of freshman year reminded me of my first week of freshman year going to a new school. Now she's a lot better than I am though at that age, and that's where I'm kind of referencing that in a minute. But just seeing that kind of like the excitement, the newness, meeting new people, and all the interest you have at that age. Oh boy, but and just all just the excitement and newness of it. And I remember how I felt my freshman day, my first day of high school, my freshman year, and just going to a brand new school, and I didn't really know. Um, it was a whole new environment for me. I knew a lot of people in there, a good amount of people, but it was still I didn't know a lot of people in my class per se, and I didn't really. The environment was brand new for me. The culture was brand new, and so and I was still didn't really realize what was going on with me slowly. I was slowly already going through anxiety, but just didn't really realize it, and especially with the health anxiety. But I remember just that seeing her go through that this week. But it helped me though to realize that, and this was an emotional win for me, and realization, which was understanding why God allowed me to why God allowed me to go through what I went through was because my mom and dad have said it that um if this didn't happen to me, our family would probably be in a way different place right now. And if you go back to a couple episodes ago, I had my father on, and he talked about when, if he didn't, if this didn't happen with me to kind of like stop our house and really help them as parents grow and help me as an older brother grow to help my sister, um, my dad probably this house would be way different right now. We wouldn't be together, and I could tell you that. And this house would be divided probably. And my dad was going down a path that he's talked about on the show that wasn't healthy. I was going down a path that would have led me in the wrong directions. You know, if I would have went to if I would have went to if for me, and I'm not saying this for anybody else, but it's, what I'm mentioning at the realization I had this week, seeing her go to high school. If I would have went off to college, went to high school, finished high school, went off to normal college, and went away, I wouldn't have been around. And I think me being around as an older brother helped her out a lot the last 5 years to help prepare her for now. And where she, now, if you get like now, she's going into high school at a much complete 180 than when I went in a much better, healthier way. And where she's fearless, she don't care. Like she'll go up and talk to anybody, meet, make friends. She's already made a ton of friends already, and so, um, but yeah, that really. When I look back, I was like, you know what? I'm really proud that God kept me around close to home with kept me home with her the last 5 years, and I was able to help her as an older brother, and in some ways, and but also help my mom and dad learn from they learned from me with that experience what to do differently with her, to where now she's much better suited to have a very good, successful high school career. Doesn't mean there's all these ups and downs and learning curves, but you're able to handle things better. You're able to, as a family, you're able to. She's able to process things much differently than I did, and she's a lot more fearless and open to things, sees things for what they really are more than I did, because I saw things in a very threatening way a lot of times at that age, because I was already going through it, and I wasn't very good with new things fully. Not saying I didn't, but at that age, well, looking back then, I was afraid of new things, and there was a lot of things my freshman year I was afraid to do. They wouldn't speak up to things, say things to certain people, uh, just because I was so nervous a lot of times, but also just I didn't know how to process a lot of those things, and I didn't really know what was going on deep down inside. I didn't couldn't. I was kind of embarrassed to say it because at 15 years old, you're a guy. I don't want to say I'm going through something, and nobody around me, literally nobody knew, and that's another reason why I realized God took me down this path, because somebody had to, for especially for our sake of our family, somebody had to really kind of like he had to use one of us to stop and really like to stop everything and kind of make everybody slow down and really rethink some things and look at things for what they really are, and to really kind of redirect us back towards him, really keep us focused on him. And it's funny, you look at all the things you've seen that's happened in the world since then, the last 8 years. I'm glad God took me down my path, because I'm glad he took me down the path I went down, because he kept me away from a lot of things that I wouldn't have liked. Like if I'd have went to college, and my college years would have been COVID years in the middle of it, I would have been miserable, to be honest with you, if I was out on college campus. I just know how I am. For me personally, I would have been miserable, and I would have hated it being away, especially if I was living away from home. I would have probably just came home. And that would have been really rough on me, probably at that age, trying to figure everything out. At least at that time, God had already been working on me since I was 15. He already taken me on that he was already taking me on a detour and working on me. And so I'm very that but all that being said, I'm very grateful that he took me down the path, as hard as it was at times and hard as it has been, that uh, seeing my sister go to high school like that, and just how free and how much fun she's having in just a week, to me, it makes it all worth it. And it also makes it, when you think of it from that manner, you look at it from, you have a lot more grace and gratitude upon yourself, and you feel it within you. You feel the Holy Spirit within you, and you just feel a sense of calm and confidence. But also, you also you you really start to believe those wins, that one win you're looking for, the things you desire in your life, they're happening. And just how he was already cultivating all that in my life when we didn't see it all the last 8 years, and how he was connecting everything, and it was bigger than me. How he was helping my sister, helping my mom and dad, how the dots were just, he was doing multiple things. God was doing 100 things at one time and working it all together for good. That a lot of things in the last year, things in my life I had still desire, he's doing the same thing right now. You never know what God's doing behind the scenes, what he's revealing to you, but what he's revealing to other people behind the scenes as well, that you can't see. You never know. And so that's why you should never give up on things, but never write things off and just quit. because you never know what God's doing. Well, a lot of times when things get quiet, and things have been quiet in my life for some things in my life have been quiet for a couple months, and which is good because God's redirected me to other things. But you never know what He's doing, and who knows? It could happen tomorrow. You never know. Just saying. So, yeah, I'm gonna get back to the video and get some more water because my mouth is dry again. So I'm gonna get back to this water, drinking this wine. I'm just get back to the video.
This was a clear signal to me that said, hey, if we can engage in a language that the subconscious mind does in fact understand, and we create an emotional shift around the things that we used to fear, and we can create one big win, one big internal win, that can create a snowball effect that takes us in another direction. So, the idea today is to put aside your misconceptions that you suffered for years, maybe even decades, and healing will take you that much time, and your misconceptions around how severe your anxiety is, and therefore it's going to take a very long time for you to heal. Commitment and relentlessness is very, very important, but those two things become easier when you first experience an experience that gets you to begin interpreting your fears in a way that is, in fact, safe. That's where we want to go. And let me tell you something else. It is possible that through a big emotional win, one big experience, it is possible for you to begin interpreting emotions differently as well. Because people that have gone through my programs and such understand that anger doesn't have to be directed towards them, and anger doesn't have to be directed towards the people in their past that may have contributed to their anxiety today. Anger can be used as dissatisfaction in terms of not wanting to live another day with this kind of distress. We can begin to revamp, reorganize the way we interpret anger, the way we interpret fear, even. If I fear something, I fear the unknown, then I must get to a place where I truly understand that something that is unknowable is still okay. I may not have all the answers, and that's okay. I may not be able to figure out every single challenge through my conscious mind and my thinking, and that's okay. I may not even know what's to come in the future, and that's okay. Warrior, let me tell you something. You can live in a completely opposite emotional place than you're currently living. Believe me, that's possible. And you can maintain it. You can maintain it because the snowball of inner peace is as available to you as the snowball of anxiety. But you must understand how to communicate with the subconscious mind. You must get to a place of understanding that you can experience this big win either behaviorally in a moment where you just crush it and say, you know what? I'm tired of living this way, and therefore I choose to see this experience differently. That kind of an emotional win. Or you can experience the emotional win by going into an altered state, an alpha state, a theta state, and you close your eyes and you imagine things differently and you feel the emotions coming up and arising. Those are two ways to get that win. It's in your hands. You can do it. I urge you to become completely dissatisfied and live in the place of no return starting today. No return means I'm not going to live in this emotional place for the rest of my life. I am done. And when you make that decision, and when you can begin implementing the self care that your mind, body, and spirit need, then everything becomes easier. The insights start arising. Trust me, the momentum towards inner peace is just as available as the momentum of anxiety. I've been there, I've gone through it. Others have gone there and they've been through it. And let me tell you, none of us are special. Okay. What we can do, you can do. So remember that you are always more than anxiety. You are more than the feelings that you experience. You are more than the intrusive thoughts you experience. You are more than your memories. You are more than all of these things. You are more than the labels that you give yourself each and every day. And you can see through those things. And you are one big win away from turning this all around. Trust me, today is about insight and today is about mindset. So let's create a brand new mindset going into the day today. I love you all. Have a wonderful day. And if you have any other questions on any of my programs, head on over to this website right here.
Yeah, great video again by Dennis. Shout out to Dennis. Salute to you, brother. I'll link that video below if you want to watch it again, and go subscribe to him for incredible content like that. And you can always contact him as well. He'll do his best to get back to you. And if you're looking for his program, too, the program I use, I'll link it below. So I highly recommend that. Yeah, I love what he said there. I like what he said in the right at the beginning to the second half of me playing that, which was showing safety. Like going back to what I was saying for myself, I was showing safety for myself when my root causes was safety. And I think a lot of times, like you said, once you can show safety to that side of you, it just takes a lot of you start to connect a lot of dots deeper, a lot of the deep emotional things, the deeper emotional root causes for things like I did. And so, but you'll start to unlock a lot of things, like he was saying too, like how it's connected to many other things in your life. Like a lot of times, people in our society nowadays, we try to play things safe, or we try to. There's like always this constant pressure on us, which I've talked about on the show, right, through social media, just in society in general. And I think that pressure oftentimes can lead to. I see a lot of this nowadays, like anxiety about impressing people, which we always try to impress people in our society. People try to impress other people. We try to be liked by other people. We try to be accepted. We want to be accepted and liked by everybody. And I think that causes pressure, but it's deemed off of what safety. And a lot of times, because something happened, like for me, I for a long time, that pain I was carrying, there's a lot of deep wounds that was involved in that, and I didn't. The agoraphobia was caused by I didn't see the world as a safe place anymore. You know what I mean? I didn't see it as I was afraid to go back and do the things that I thought caused me pain, so I hid from it. So I didn't think the world was safe. But once I started showing that things are safe, and showing that part of me, that those emotional wins, those big wins I was having, that anxiety and that pain started to go away, and I started to see things for what they really were, and that it was just my body looking out for me. It was trying not to. It didn't want me to let go of that safety, what it deemed as safe. Trying to play things safe and trying to not chase things and not go for my dreams because I didn't want me to feel that pain again, like I was saying. But again, it's going through the deeper emotional healing, like he said in the playlist he linked up there. You'll find that in his channel as well. Reframing things, seeing things for what they really are, um, letting go of things, emotional wounds, and just like I love what he said there too. Like if him and I can do it because I've done it, if we can do it, so can you. Anybody can do it. It's available to anybody. You may not hear about it because it's not really promoted a whole lot nowadays because for different reasons we don't have to get into, but um, you can take the power back yourself. And with God with you, God wants to, like I said earlier, God wants you to be free. You have God waiting for you to help you as well. He'll guide you in the direction you want to go. He'll lead you. He'll make things happen for you. And he'll reveal to you his will as well, which is greater than our will always be. And so, but again, it's showing, for me, it was showing safety. And I like why he mentioned that word, safety, because safety could be connected to many different things. It could be health wise, relationally, agoraphobic wise, seeing the world as a safe place, um, being out in public. If you have like social anxiety, it's themed around safety, right? Um, Safety can go many different ways. And so, one thing that helped me was something I heard recently. I posted this on my Instagram, the Serenity Prayer. And saying this prayer, really diving deep into this prayer, what the prayer says. A short prayer, real simple prayer. It's called the Serenity Prayer. And the prayer itself has really already helped me in many ways, saying it every day. But also, what does the prayer really say? A lot of what's in this prayer is a lot of what we talked about today. So let me pull it up here. 1 second. And so the Serenity Prayer, right? And my counselor shared this with me one time, and it was a lot of what I was going through. He said, "Hey Joe, maybe try the Serenity Prayer. Look at what it really says." And serenity means restfulness, right? It means resting. And what does restfulness mean? Well, resting in the for me with the prayers, resting in the faith and your faith in God, right? When you're in God's faith, you feel His presence. You know He has everything under control. It's serenity. You feel at home. You feel at peace. Even the things that are unknown, the things we don't know about, the things we don't know the answers to yet, the things of our past. It's all in His hands, right? And so I need a drink of water. But understanding that, um, what does serenity really mean? And I think right here, I'm pulling up on my computer. Um, the definition. So this here says the condition or quality being serene, clearness and calmness, quietness, stillness, and peace, calmness of mind, evenness of temper, and undisturbed state, coolness. So what serenity really is seeing things for what they really are and being neutral. And that's the key. Being in a neutral state, especially if you're somebody with like agoraphobia, somebody trying to do exposure, trying to get yourself how do you show yourself that safety? Try to the first step to me is getting that in that neutral state. Find that serenity, finding that peaceful state, right? Once you get in that state, you feel more open to doing things. Things don't seem as scary as they used to be. But you're also not too high, you're not too low emotionally. You're just even kill. You're right down the middle. You know what I mean? You're just kind of playing it. You're like you're very calm, you're very even kill. You like I said, you're just very um to me you become more open to doing things because you feel more it does make help you feel more in control of your emotions. Like I said, you're not too high, you're not too low. And so let me see here. So the actual serenity prayer is the serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can't see, and wisdom to know the difference, living one day at a time, enjoying one moment at a time, accepting hardships as the pathway to peace, taking as he did the sinful world as it is, not as I would have it, trusting that he will make all things right if I surrender to his will, so that I may be reasonably happy in this life and supremely happy with him forever and ever in the next. Amen. And so the things that stood out to me in this prayer that I really loved was accepting hardships as the pathway to peace. And it was like I was saying earlier, the emotional shifts and wins for me was even recently seeing my sister go to high school and realizing that and seeing that, um, just seeing how God used me to make all things work together for good and to help and stop generational anxiety. I accepted the hardships and he showed me, and now he's showing me the pathway to peace in my life. And he has been, right? And also at the end there, like you said, if you trust him, he makes all things right. If I surrender to his will, so I may be reasonably happy in this life and supremely happy with him forever and ever in the next, he will give you that true happiness you're looking for. And he makes all things work together for good. And so I really love this prayer. You can screenshot this or go online and find it, say it every night, pray it every day, say it multiple times a day. And the more you practice this, the more you just install this in your life, the more you'll start to feel that serenity and the more you'll let go of things and the more you'll start to just feel that calmness and also just allowing and letting go. And it takes the pressure off you and getting to that neutral place to where you can find that emotional win, that big win to show that safety that will spark everything. Like you said, it will just snowball everything else into such a positive effect in your life and break that cycle and that habit of worry and fear and just being controlled by all those things that have controlled you for years deep down inside, and just a lot of clarity and a lot of peace, a lot of inner peace. And so, yeah, that's my show for today. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you enjoyed this content today, hit the like button for me. Really appreciate that. Go subscribe to man Dennis Simsek, the anxiety guy, and go comment on that video as well. Share your feedback on that video. He really appreciates feedback. Leave your feedback on this video as well. I'd love to hear your guys' take on what I said today, and if any of this connects to you. Have you found that win recently? Share your wins. Let's talk the wins together. We need to share those wins. We need to see people succeeding. And if I can do it, so can you. We're all more than anxiety. And so make sure you like, subscribe, share, and all that good stuff. Love all you guys, and I'll see you guys next one. I'm out of here. Gone.